All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, June 7th. We got a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video, like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays. So what I'm actually rolling with myself, if that does interest you, if you do want to fade me, all of that free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of yesterday, not exactly the best day. We go 3-4. I will say the silver lining, I guess the glass half full approach, we still did lose, but one of our losses there was Marlins money line, just 0.25 unit play, and one of our wins was the Astros team total, 0.75 unit win, right? So I guess that's the way that we can say, let's pull some of that momentum. We managed our units pretty well yesterday, but still a losing day nonetheless, and you can't put lipstick on a pig and call it beautiful. You know what I mean? It's still a damn pig. So not exactly the best day yesterday. The ride of the day, though, we'll drop it to Ching. We'll pump it some crowd noise for Bars. Had the first 5 under 5 in the White Sox and the Royals game. Believe they finished at 4 after 5 innings. So shout out to Bars. We've now updated the ride of the day tracker here. And you can see he's on the active streak as of right now. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it is simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day or ROTD down in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to ride with your play. If you do lose, you get the shout out. We got to talk about it. You got to drop the womp womp on the soundboard. We don't want that stuff, right? So hopefully we can keep on the win train here. Like I said, we continue to roll with you if you do win. So get that hashtag right of the day in there. Looking forward to seeing what Bars throws out at us today. But all right, we've been yapping here. Let's go ahead and I guess yap some more. Let's talk about some baseball. We got game number 1, Detroit taking on Chicago, the Cubs. Yesterday, this was a 3-1 win. Tariq Skubal looked good. Ben Brown, honestly, didn't even look all that bad. I don't know if we're going to have the same pitching today. Jameson Taillon on the mound going up against, looks like Holton, but then Keider Montero's due to come in afterwards. Honestly, Taillon's been very good. I just don't know how much I want to trust him overall. And this Cubs team against lefties, they have kind of struggled recently. So if we get a couple innings out of Holton, Keider Montero can come in, and maybe we do have a decent spot to look at Detroit again. I'm kind of leaning towards an over, though. I think this is a game that, we can fight to get to 4-4, and then someone has to score the winning run. But ultimately, the pitchers are kind of throwing me off, because obviously we do know this is a good Chicago offense, right? And it's a decent Tigers offense. Is Taillon going to be the Taillon that we know, or is he going to be the Taillon that he's been? Because he's definitely due for some regression, but I think I've been saying that for like 2 starts. Against this Tigers roster, he's has 63 plate appearances against, average against of 361, a WOBA of 461. That ain't great. So I expect him to be able to get to, or them to be able to get to him. And like I said, the Chicago offense is very good, even though they have had their struggles like lately against lefties. We saw it yesterday, but that was Skubal. I'm thinking this one's an over. But honestly, I guess, now that I even say it out loud, the plus money is where I'd follow. And this thing's been ping-ponging all day. So if the Tigers are plus money, which right now I believe they are, then I guess I'm going to lean towards them. But if Chicago does somehow pull that back to, plus money, maybe that's what we look at. But again, over is kind of the only thing I'm looking at. Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence with this one. All right, Minnesota taking on Toronto. We have Chris Paddock on the mound going up against Kevin Gausman. Gausman's had a few kind of spotty starts lately, but we can admit that this Toronto team has been really good, right? Like they win, yesterday, 6-4? And Minnesota had gone on their run, but they're kind of back down to earth, right? They go on and win 3-4 against the Athletics. Anyone right now could win 3-4 against the Athletics. And like I said, it is Gausman, who I do have a little bit of faith in. He has some good numbers against this twin squad as well. And when I say the squad, I mean the current guys that make up the team. 126 plate appearances against, so decent sample size. K rate of 32.5, expected batting average against of 238, expected WOBA against of 304. So decent spot here. I do like the pitch mix as well. He's going to throw the splitter as his, second pitch there. Dead last in the league are the Twins against that splitter. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and lean towards Toronto. Maybe on the first 5, though. They used a decent amount of their bullpen yesterday to get that win. Again, it was, 6-4, so somewhat of a competitive game, right? They scored in the 6th and I want to say it was either the top of the 8th or 9th to go ahead and take the lead. So, yeah, I mean, this is a spot in which they used some bullpen arms. Maybe we just trust Gausman versus Paddock in this spot, right? From a Paddock perspective, I don't necessarily think he's going to get absolutely torched. He's been pretty damn good, right? He's gone up against Seattle, Tampa Bay, Cleveland, Baltimore, and San Francisco, though. This Toronto offense is a lot better than those teams, especially as of late, right? So I do like the idea of, maybe the fact that he's due also for a little bit of regression, kind of like what we talked about with Tyon in that Cubs game. So give me Toronto. I don't mind the idea of their first 5 team total either if you don't really trust Gausman, but I'm not a guy. I think Gausman's pretty damn good, on the road this year, but even just throughout his career, pretty damn good on the road too, you know what I mean? He's also very good against righties. There's a lot of righties in this lineup that are the kind of scary names, right? So give me Toronto. In terms of a total, I kind of, putted back and forth the idea of a first 5 under, just because I think one of these teams will kind of struggle. I would say it's most likely the Twins, so maybe I start to pivot towards the Twins first 5 under, but at that point, we might as well just look at the Blue Jays in the first 5, right? With these bullpens, Toronto's a little taxed, Twins are pretty good. I guess you could see the Twins scoring some runs late, so, with an 8 total, it could get up there, but I still think I'm going to trust my gut and say under. But it's kind of weird because I think that Gausman controls the Twins today. I'm almost thinking that the Blue Jays do score, right? So it's one team's an over, one team's an under type team in my brain today. Another spot I'm considering this would be Cody Clemens of the Twins, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He's been getting a lot of hits lately, which kind of worry me. That being said, Gausman against left-handed bats is also very good. You know what I mean? Like I said, Gausman's very good against righties. He's good against lefties, so I can kind of trust it, right? Where this really gets nice is the fact that Clemens is a 381 WOBA on the season. Against the fastball, it does drop down to 320, but against the splitter, 129. So that should be the nice little put-up pitch for him. If he hits the fastball, I get it, but I do like the idea, maybe just for a quarter unit or something like that, taking a peek at his under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, hoping that splitter is the pitch today. Next up, we got St. Louis taking on the Dodgers, and before we do talk about that game, we might as well plug Sleeper right now because they have the Yamamoto, the starting pitcher for the Dodgers, free square in this one, guys. Go ahead and check out Sleeper Picks. That link will be down in the description, as well as the pinned comment, whichever one is easiest for you to get to. When you do click that link, it'll take you to Sleeper. You're going to get this 0.5 out square for Yamamoto. You're also going to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. You put in $100, they'll give you a free $100, doubling your bankroll there. There's also a ton of promos that they're running on the app as of right now, just random boosts or random discounts for some of these games, some of the NBA finals. So go ahead and check it out. If you like WNBA, they got a lot of WNBA action over there as well. So check out Sleeper, guys. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. If you're sitting there being like, what the heck is Sleeper? It's essentially a player prop centric app in which you pick 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections. The more you put into your entry, the more you can possibly get paid out, and the more you get correct, the more you get paid out. So go ahead and check it out. I really do like Sleeper. I think the most unique thing about them, and they have a ton of unique things, but the one that I like the most is the payout structure. They don't follow all the other apps that, follow a fixed structure, like 2 for 2 is 3x or anything like that. No, each and every play you throw into your lineup, into your entry, changes the payout dynamically. So really, really cool, guys. Go check out Sleeper. Link will be down in the description as well as the pinned comment. I've been using it for over almost, I think, 2.5 years now. Absolutely love this app. If you try it out and it's available in your state, you will too. But all right, like I said, let's dive into this game. We just kind of talked about Yamamoto a little bit. He's going up against Eric Fetty. Now, the Dodgers coming off of a loss, I do love the spot for them, right? Especially with Yamamoto on the mound. I don't think Fetty's going to be this really good pitcher against them, but looking into his numbers, he really doesn't even have the worst numbers against this Dodger squad, which is interesting, right? But I don't think that his pitch mix is going to be all that great. He's going to throw the sinker, the slider. His cutter could work because they're kind of a middle of the pack team lately against the cutter, but the sinker, number one in the league, the Dodgers, sitting there in terms of runs above average over the last 30 days. So I think this is a spot where the Dodgers can get out early, score on Fetty. You take a peek at the bullpen here. I think that they can kind of score all game long as well. There's a lot, not yet necessarily yesterday, but the day before, a lot of arms going in that bullpen there for this for the St. Louis team. So I'm thinking about a Dodgers team total over. My concern, and I'm pretty sure this is the case, let me double check. Yeah, we do have some not so great weather there in Busch Stadium. Looks like it's going to be 70 degrees, wind blowing right to left, but a decent amount of rain, which obviously can kind of slow things down a little bit. So maybe instead of that team total over, we just look at the Dodgers somehow on the first 5 run line or something like that, because that way they can win this thing 2-1 in the first 5 for us. You know what I mean? They haven't covered that though, and I believe it's 7 of their last 8 games. So his Dodgers team hasn't necessarily been getting out to great starts. You know what I mean? With Yamamoto on the mound, on the road, they have done it in 4 of his 6 starts. So that's good, right? And then flip it over to Fetty. They have, I guess the Cardinals have been pretty good, so it could be competitive. But for -130, I feel like that's a decent price to back the Dodgers coming off a loss. But at the same time, doesn't it sound like I'm really trying to fit a square peg into a circle hole, or whatever the hell the saying is? I don't want to get caught up in that. So I'm going to go Dodgers. I'll also take a peek at their team total over, but whether or not this becomes a final play or not, it's definitely going to come down to a little bit more meteorologist Ev reporting for duty and us digging into the weather a little bit more. All right, Washington taking on Texas. Washington wins 2-0 yesterday, and honestly, it wasn't because of Corbin, right? He allowed, I think it was 1 run early on in the game and then pitched into the 8th. So he did his job as far as we should be concerned with going up against his old team and whatnot, right? Definitely saved some of the bullpen arms there too. For Texas, nobody really had to do much. So I do think that this is a fairly interesting spot to take a peek at a big plus money favorite, because nothing looks like it points to this, obviously, this Texas team, right? Or excuse me, this Washington team. You have DeGrom on the mound. That being said, he's going to throw a lot of fastballs and sliders. Those are 2 pitches, especially the slider, that this Washington team does hit fairly well. So I don't necessarily hate the idea of taking a shot with Washington. Though in the fact that Mitchell Parker's on the other side of things, I think Mitchell Parker is definitely a serviceable pitcher. Now, has he been all that great? No, he's giving you 5 innings, 3 earned runs right now. But he's gone up against Arizona, Atlanta twice, Seattle, St. Louis, Seattle. He's faced some decent offenses, and I don't think we can just go ahead and put this Texas team in there. So for the price, and obviously DeGrom's the better pitcher, I'm not trying to say that, but for the price, I guess it would be Nationals for me. I do get a little bit concerned that I think we have also bad weather in this stadium, so it's kind of all right, well, if it gets to being bad weather, then maybe DeGrom could be filthy because, ball's not traveling as far, yada, yada, yada. But you can make the argument that maybe Texas's offense sucks even more when it's, bad weather. They did score 0 runs. Last time they scored 0 runs, they bounced back with 8 runs. That was against the St. Louis Cardinals. So, and then the time before that, when they scored 0, they bounced back with 11. So if trends are following, yes, Texas may have a big offensive day, but I'm kind of thinking for the price, plus 160 right now, I think that might be where I take a peek at Washington. With that weather, I guess I'll lean towards an under, because I would say, in my dumb brain, I'm guaranteeing at least one of these pitchers pitches a gem, right? Whether it's Parker against the Rangers or DeGrom against the Nationals, I do like the idea of an under, as in, neither one of these teams is going to be carrying all the weight themselves, or be able to carry all the weight themselves. So, yeah, I do like the idea of a slight peak to the under. We have this one, I believe, pegged at 8.1 runs. So if you get an 8.5, I think that would be probably the move. I don't mind the idea of a first 5 under though. But again, if the weather and the wind is really hot and wind blowing out, that rain may not matter. So another one in which we kind of will pay close attention to this weather, but I think it's going to be hot in Washington there. So obviously that could make the ball travel farther. We shall see. Next up, Pittsburgh taking on Philadelphia. I think I like Philly's first 5 money line in this spot. We have Ranger Suarez facing off against Andrew Heaney. Heaney has been very, very good. I give him that. That being said, I think we're seeing some signs of potential regression out of him based on his last couple starts. Suarez honestly looking very, very good throughout his last few starts here. So yeah, I like the idea of the Phillies offense going up against this Pittsburgh team. They've been hitting lefties fairly well. We even saw it, a decent amount yesterday, right, against Bailey Falter, in which in that game, what did he pitch? He pitched 3 2/3, did make 11 outs there, let up, I think it was 5 or 6 hits. So yeah, like if they do that again against Heaney, I think that we can win this first 5, right? Because I kind of think that Suarez is going to have his ducks in a row here. In terms of these two pitchers against the current teams that they're facing, 59 plate appearances against for Heaney, 333 average against. His walk rate is higher than his K rate, 12 compared to 10. His expected batting average against 362, expected WOBA 431. It's a totally different tale on the side of Ranger Suarez. 76 plate appearances against his current Pittsburgh team. Current Pittsburgh roster, 30.3% K rate, 12% walk rate. That is a little high, but the K rate's super high, right? Expected batting average against of 208, expected WOBA of 267. I like the idea of the Phillies. I like the idea of the Phillies here in the first 5. Suarez versus Heaney, Phillies offense versus Heaney. In terms of where we go from a total perspective, I think this one is Phillies team total over for plus money you can get right now, whether it's the first 5 or the full game 4.5. I think that's what I'd end up considering. Looks like we're going to have some decent weather in PNC. Wind is blowing down to the right field line, about 79 degrees out there. So yeah, I think Phillies could score a decent amount of runs today. So maybe we look at Phillies on the first 5 money line, as well as maybe their team total over if we can get a plus money number. I know you can for the first 5. I had San Fran taking on Atlanta. This one has me perplexed a little bit here. We do have San Fran at home, and it looks like their offense potentially is kind of right in that groove, right? When I say groove, I don't mean a million runs, but 5, 4. Yeah, they scored 6 a few days ago, right? Like maybe they're back in that San Fran at home groove. Which is just enough to put up a decent scoreline. Now, Bryce Elder's on the bump for the Braves going up against Logan Webb. I don't think there's any telling as to which pitcher is better, especially Logan Webb at home, especially Logan Webb against righties. But there is a pretty decent split of righty-lefties in this lineup. Both of these pitchers go sinker, slider, very similar pitch mixes, and both teams don't really hit those pitches all that tremendously. The slider, I believe, San Francisco hits very well at home, so I guess advantage to them. I don't think that they're worth minus 179 though, but I do think that, they can get some runs against Elder, but not exactly sure if the Braves have the best success here against Logan Webb. So I can play this 2 ways that I'm kind of trying to think about. Either say, all right, screw it, Braves team total under, or Braves first 5 team total under. That's kind of what I'm thinking, right? The problem with the team total under is this is still a you-know-what show in the Giants bullpen. So I don't know if I want to go full game, right? Because you take out Webb, and that's already a bullpen that I think is a little bit, playing above expectations. On the Atlanta side of things, their bullpen, it's not like they're in the best of shape, but a little bit better shape, right? So, yeah, maybe you just look at San Francisco on the run line, something like that. But anyways, I think you either look at an under for the team total for the Braves or the first 5 under. My concern there is, again, yeah, the sinker is going to be a really good pitch against them. Logan Webb's going to get a lot of ground balls. All that is great, but is he going to be able to hold them to just 2 runs? That's kind of the tough one, right? Because under 1.5 right now for minus 135, that's a decent price tag. So maybe I just look at the full game under, or say, hey, Bryce Elder, go out there and do your thing. A full game under for the Braves, by the way. Or maybe just look at the first 5 under. But I would say San Francisco has the edge in my brain, potentially for like a first 5 run line, right? But, if I were to be completely honest here, I think that I would want plus money, even though Logan Webb is even better than Bryce Elder. You're getting like minus 110 right now. So, yes, another one in which I'm a little bit on the fence, but I would say Atlanta team total under for the full game is a little risky, but I think it's got a better chance of hitting than the under for the first 5, just because of that fact that you're paying that crazy price tag for just 2 runs. Like, errors can happen, and that happens. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you guys totally hanging with being on the fence in this game. I do have a player prop that I think might make the final play list. We've hit it multiple times this year. Tyler Fitzgerald, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Really trusting that slider out of Logan Webb, right? He's been thrown at about 39% of the time. Tyler Fitzgerald's WOBA drops down to 269 against that slider. And then the sinker being the next pitch, Fitzgerald hits that when it's left over the plate. Webb is, now I'm Bryce Elder is what I mean, not Webb. He's not pitching against Tyler Fitzgerald. Logan Webb is on his team. Bryce Elder slider is really what we got to trust. Now, the sinker is the next pitch. I knew that the pitch mix being so simple was going to throw me for a loop at some point. Bryce Elder likes to throw this thing exclusively down in the zone, like very, very down in the zone. Tyler Fitzgerald, all of his decent batting average against that sinker, which is the number 2 pitch, is up in the zone and even at times on the outside of the plate. So I don't think he's going to get those opportunities to hit a pitch that he does hit well against Bryce Elder. So yeah, I like the idea of Tyler Fitzgerald under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. This season, or I should say more so in like the last 10 games, he struggled to put back-to-back good games together. And yesterday he had a 1-hit, 1-run game. So hopefully that trend continues as well. All right, Cincinnati taking on Arizona. Nick Martinez in the bump for Cincinnati going up against Ryan Nelson. Ryan Nelson this year hasn't looked all that bad as a starter. Nick Martinez not really moving in the right direction, I would say. He does have some decent numbers against this Arizona roster, though, so I'll give him that. In terms of his pitch mix, we're going to get, decent one, right? Fastball, cutter, slider, sinker. He throws a bunch of different pitches. As he gets to more of the off-speed stuff, I do think that's where Arizona struggles. But flipping it over to Ryan Nelson, he's going to throw a lot of fastballs, cutter, and those are 2 pitches that Cincinnati does not hit all that well. So I think I like the idea of Arizona in this spot for minus 102 odds. I think you're getting probably the far better team, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's probably where I end up leaning towards. What I will say though is this line is a little tricky to me, right? Like why the team that I would consider the way better offense, why are we sitting here at, less than a pick 'em price at minus 102, literally like 50-50 price? That's a little worrisome to me. So yeah, I guess for the sake of sniffing out a trap, I think this could be a trap game, but still, the price seems like it makes sense. Ryan Nelson hopefully can keep things going like he has been. He's not really a guy that I like to back historically, though. And I don't mind the idea of an over here. It looks like we're going to have wind blowing, to left field there, which is one of the shorter parts of this ballpark. It's going to be 80 degrees. I don't think we have any weather in this one. If we do, maybe that changes things, but this is still a hitter's ballpark. All right, next up, Taj Bradley going up against Ryan Weathers. Tampa Bay going up against Miami here. This is an interesting one because I do think the Rays have the Marlins do have a chance, especially with the way that Ryan Weathers can pitch. It's a question of, is he going to be consistent? Is he going to keep doing it, right? Which is kind of what we've seen the problem from him be. Even his last start, that was against San Francisco. In Miami, though, 6 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks. He let up a home run. Like, there's some good and bad that we can see in there, right? Taj Bradley's coming off of a fantastic game against Houston. They lost this game 1-0. He pitched 7 innings, 1 run came in. It wasn't even earned. 10 strikeouts in that game, only 3 hits. So it's like, yeah, he has obviously looked pretty good. But his numbers, last time he pitched against Miami, which was this year, mid-May, he got 4 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 0 home runs. So maybe there's an angle, like I said, to be able to get to Ryan Weathers. I almost want to trust the pitching. Like I said, these lines are kind of tough here because I kind of put this as like a game that finishes maybe 5-3, but I could also see the 4-4, which would send it to extras. But then in the first 5, maybe like a 2-2 game. We cashed the first 5 in this one yesterday. I don't know if we're being a little bit too greedy, but that might be something we consider here. Trusting that Taj Bradley hangs in there at home and keeps doing his thing, right? But then in terms of Ryan Weathers, maybe a bounce back look for him, right? Maybe he's able to go out there and pitch well. This season, in terms of first 5s for him, 3-1 to the under, which is good. On the road, 1-1. And then in terms of Taj Bradley, he's been really good as well. I think 71% of his starts, he has, he has 8 starts, 7 starts, something like that. He only has a couple starts in which they went over this number, so at home. So yeah, I like the idea of Taj Bradley to deal at home as well. So all that said, I think the Miami Marlins have a chance at the price that they're at, and I like that first 5 under. If the Marlins do their job, if Ryan Weathers does their job, it's probably more of a first 5 under look for me. All right, Cleveland taking on Houston. I'm looking at the first 5 in this one because I do think that we're targeting 2 fairly good pitchers now. It's a matter of, do we want to trust Gavin Williams and Hunter Brown, or just Hunter Brown? I'm starting to lean towards just Hunter Brown, so maybe Houston first 5 money line, but I did go back and forth in this one thinking, okay, maybe there's a nice little spot for us to get comfortable with a first 5 under, right? The problem with that is you only have a total of 7 in this game to begin with. The first 5 under in this game is already pretty shot and juice. So I think I would trust what I'd consider the lately better offense as well as the better pitcher overall to be able to take a peek at that. But yeah, I've gone back and forth on this one, and honestly, even still to this point, I could see us rolling with both. Gavin Williams is really what I'm looking at here. He's been pretty damn good. Last 4 starts at home, the 3 of those have gone under. So yeah, it could be a decent spot for first 5 under, but I think the simpler one, and you're getting better odds, would be taking a peek at Houston. I think we can get that for -120 right now. Hunter Brown on the bump, he's just absolutely fantastic. Yes, Gavin Williams is good, but I trust Hunter Brown a hell of a lot more. In a small sample size against this team, he has some really good numbers as well. So give me Houston first 5 money line. And like I said, for a total, yeah, there's a little bit of me that wants to look at a first 5 under. But I also want, if I'm taking Houston on the money line, I want them to be able to open it up against Gavin Williams, who's definitely susceptible potentially to that, right? Even though he's really, really good, I think he's been pitching a little bit better than, I guess, what I would expect. But what do I know, right? But he's got, coming off a decent start, he's honestly kind of gone good start, mediocre start, good start, mediocre start for like 6 straight starts. So maybe he's in the ballpark here for a yikes type of a start. And first 5 under, we don't want that for. Let's see if we had any player props. I believe we had one jotted down. I don't want to move on if we did. I guess Angel Martinez here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I do like the matchup against Brown. The fastball, the sinker, the curve, and the change. He does hit up those decently, but he's batting against righties fairly poorly. And then Hunter Brown against lefties this year, which Martinez is a switch hitter. Batters against him, batting just 169. So that was one I considered. But again, the fastball, he hits okay. The curve, he hits okay. And those are pitches that we're going to see from Hunter Brown. If you do like one that seems like it could be a little bit of a shot in the dark here, I don't mind the idea of Steven Kwan under 1.5 total bases. You're probably paying a decent amount of juice for it as of right now, but he doesn't necessarily have the best of numbers here against Hunter Brown, I don't believe. I have to double check that. Honestly, now that I even say that out loud, I might be a dummy. It might be like fantastic numbers against him or terrible. I have to double check that. So put a pause on that Steven Kwan one. All right, we got the White Sox taking on the Royals here. Hauser on the mound for the White Sox, who in his limited amount of starts, he has looked okay. I mean, he has 1 start against Baltimore, in which he kind of got hit, but not all that bad. He pitched into the 7th inning. Going up against Michael Wacha, who, I mean, he just pitched a 7-inning game, a week ago against Detroit. 0 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. So maybe he's starting to figure something out, right? I don't necessarily love the idea of him being consistent here. The good news is it's against the freaking White Sox, right? And they scored 7 runs yesterday, the White Sox. So this is probably a Kansas City bounce back type spot for me where they get the win. But I also really don't mind the idea of the first 5 under. That was the ride of the day yesterday, right? I think that Michael Wacha can pitch well enough against this White Sox team, and the White Sox can probably take care of themselves offensively. Adrian Hauser, I'm really hoping, can continue to keep the ball on the ground because, that's a path that I like for the first 5 under, right? So if he, a bunch of ground balls and whatnot, this Kansas City team, they do hit for average, but they rarely, or I guess they maybe not rarely, it's just been kind of the theme of the season. They've struggled to, that's probably a better way of putting it, to bring runners home. Now, they went on a little bit of a stretch where they looked pretty good, right? But then, boom, yesterday, they have 2 runs scored. So if he keeps the ball on the ground, I think that we could be cruising to a nice first 5 under here. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I also do like the idea of Kansas City on the money line. So maybe we split a unit or split a half unit, depending on kind of what we're rolling with today, and take a peek at Kansas City on the money line, but also, Kansas City in terms of the first 5 and the White Sox kind of performing. So that's probably what we ultimately end up looking at. The bullpen for Kansas City was in trouble a couple days ago. Hopefully some of these guys are good to go today. Hopefully, I should say. So Kansas City in the first 5 under. Yankees taking on the Red Sox. I won't be touching this personally myself, but if I were to, it would be taking a peek at the Red Sox at plus money. Kind of simply just because I don't think you get the Red Sox with Garrett Crochet on the mound at plus money against anyone. Now, unfortunately, this line has been moving pretty significantly, so it's only right around even money right now. Garrett Crochet is great. He could go 7 innings. I'd still worry about the 8 and 9 inning there against this Yankees squad. So I'm going to lean Red Sox. But you guys even said in the comments, I can't be biased, can't keep taking the Red Sox. I'm going to follow that today because this Yankees team, even after last night, like that final score might look a little bit better than the game actually was. The thing was 7-0 at one point. The Red Sox score a run, and then it was 8-1 within a minute. You know what I mean? Like this Yankees team is far better than the Red Sox. They're at home here. There's no reason for me to get greedy and be like, oh, Garrett Crochet at plus money. I don't think so. It is Yarba on the other side of things who has been really good. So, I mean, if you like the Yankees, you might even be able to make the argument that I'm getting them at a cheap price today because Crochet's on the other side, where Yarba has been, like, weirdly enough, just as good, which is crazy to say, right? So, sure, if you like the Yankees, this might be the spot to jump on them. I'm viewing this as, like, if you like Garrett Crochet, it might be a good spot to jump on the Red Sox, right? So, yeah, pick 'em price. I get it. I'm going to lean Red Sox. I also like the idea of an under here, or a first 500 is probably better. Red Sox offense, I don't know exactly what to make of them. And if Garrett Crochet can really go out there and stand on his head, which I don't see why he can't, right? I mean, the guy's phenomenal, and Yankees against lefties, yeah, that could worry us a little bit, but ultimately they're going to get the cutter from him. That's one of their weaker pitches. When I say weaker, freaking 12th in the league. That's how good this offense is. The sinker he can get in there, you know what I mean? Like maybe Garrett Crochet does have some success against this squad. I just worry the fact that the way the Yankees are batting, under and the Yankees in the same sentence may not be the best move. You know what I mean? Milwaukee taking on San Diego. San Diego gets the 2-0 win yesterday. Really wasn't due to Vasquez, but they got the win. On the mound today is going to be Quintana going up against Steven Kolick. Kolick hasn't been... shouldn't say hasn't been. He didn't look bad. That's probably a way better way of putting this in his last start. I was going to say he hasn't been bad, but he's had some blow-up starts, right? But he went 0 earned through 5 2/3, only 3 hits against San Francisco. This was a really, really hot Milwaukee team offensively just before last game. I would say that they probably bounce back. You do have Quintana, who is a lefty. That's good because, well, San Diego can't really hit anyone right now. But I'm more so looking at the fact that he throws a ton of sinkers. That's a tough pitch for San Diego to hit. Last 30 days, 4th worst in terms of runs above average. So for the price at home, I like Milwaukee in this spot. Do I think this goes over or under? Right now, based on our numbers, we have this pegged at a game that finishes at 7. That seems really, really strong and somehow too far off to trust, right? But I'm going to lean in that direction. I'm going to go under 8.5 in this game. In terms of where the bullpens are at, I believe Milwaukee, let me check. I know San Diego's been in kind of a you-know-what storm, but Milwaukee should be good to go. They pitched a decent amount of guys yesterday, but ultimately their big arms are fine. So, yeah, maybe the under does make sense. Maybe we can trust that both these bats kind of cooled off because Milwaukee was hot, but yesterday they scored 0. So, and I don't think that this is a San Diego team that's going to be scoring consistent runs until further notice. So maybe we do trust our numbers and lean towards the under. I think we might just do that. Angels taking on the Mariners. Jack Kachanowicz on the mound going up against Marlins pitcher Luis Castillo. Yesterday, 5-4 win for the Angels. We did just sneak out that under. We had them at under 9.5. Which I guess we shall take. This is interesting because Castillo's going to just kind of hum in the fastballs in there, right? Which I do have a little concern about. This is an Angels team. Now, a lot of these games came on the road, which they're a different offense. But Angels right now, surprisingly, number 1 team in the entire league at hitting the fastball in terms of runs above average. So that does worry me. But Kachanowicz on the other side of things, like I don't think he's all that great. He's kind of struggles against lefties and righties, but there's obviously a few lefties in this lineup, especially some of the switch hitters, Polanco, Rayleigh, Taveras, that are going to be hitting from the left side today. So in all reality, you might have 6 or 7 lefties in the lineup. He has a 1.75 whip against lefties, 6.5 FIP against lefties. They're batting .313, and his strikeout to K rate, his K to walk rate is like even. So I do think that the Mariners could get some off of him today. I just worry that the Angels will also score off of Seattle's Luis Castillo. So maybe the way that I'm talking about this leads to an over, right? But I do want to mention that the Angels, some of those numbers are inflated because of how well they play on the road, and they've played a decent amount of road games in the last 30 days. I'm still going to trust the over, but that is probably what, if we don't get to it, that's probably what kept me off of it, not being able to trust them in their own building. And I say this after they scored, 5 yesterday. All right, Colorado Mets. I like the Mets team total over yesterday. Didn't really want to roll with it because of how pricey it was. Today, I probably in the same boat, but again, it's going to be super pricey, and it's just already juiced it through the moon, right? If you want any sort of a serviceable number. So I'd still lean in that direction. Clay Holmes going up against Carson Palmquist. I'm going to lean towards the Mets, maybe in some sort of parlay, maybe their team total over because they'll have all 9 at bats, but nothing that I'm racing to the moon again. So all I would look at is Mets or their team total over here. All right, we got the A's taking on Baltimore yesterday. A's come out with a 5-4 win. Checking in and out of that game, it was pretty good. And then the bullpens actually kind of clutched up, right? I think this was the score after like 4 innings, if I'm not mistaken, maybe five innings or something like that. But ultimately, you do have Severino on the mound today going up against Charlie Morton. I don't necessarily want to sit here and say that I like Morton more than Severino, but I'm not the biggest Severino guy. You guys might know that by now, but he is better than Morton, especially as Morton has a starter this year, right? So for the plus money at home, they did win yesterday. Maybe that's where we look, but this is another one where even what I said yesterday is like, it's kind of a wonky game, right? I guess I would lean over because I don't want to trust either bullpen. I don't love either pitcher. My problem is, do we really trust either offense? Like, that's the tough one, right? They could have had multiple runs yesterday, but again, the bullpen's clutched up, and they didn't score in the last 4 innings of the game. I don't know if that happens again today, so screw it. I'll lean towards an over. I don't know if we fully get this one down, but that is kind of going to be what I'm looking at. I believe we had an under in a player prop in this one, which worries me. Yeah, J.J. Bleday. It is juiced, but he's batting just 161 against righties. Morton being a righty. He's 0 for 6 against Morton lifetime. Morton against left-handed bats is pretty damn good. And throw in the fact that the curveball is going to be that number 1 pitch for Morton. He doesn't hit the curveball all that well. So yeah, J.J. Bleday, not even seeing the ball well right now. Really, he's been, missing this one. And I want to say it's like 10 straight games, which would be good for us. But wouldn't it be such Charlie Morton-esque for a guy like Bleday who's been struggling, and then Morton's like, hey, here's a curveball that hangs, and Bleday goes deep. It would be just Charlie Morton-esque. But excuse me, hiccup there. Keep an eye on the final plays to see if we do what we end up rolling with. But guys, it's gonna wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.